today's guest, Sonja Sinterhauf, HR Director of AVIV Group. And maybe, Sonja, we start with a short introduction about yourself. Thanks for your time and that we can do the podcast, but let's start directly into it.
Thank you for inviting me. So let me share a few things about myself. I'm a strategic people and organization leader with 15 plus years of experience and in various roles, whether it's a business partner role, HR director role, or number one role in a smaller organization. I shape organizations across technology, e-commerce, and creative industries. I actually started my career on the business side in marketing and in advertising roles. And throughout my career, whether that's at Miro, at Zalando, Blacklane, or Airbnb, and earlier in music and communications, all the people and culture transformations that help businesses to grow, to change, leaders to evolve, and teams to thrive. So I would say keywords are organizational design, org development, talent strategies that can be executed then in talent acquisition, talent management, L&D space, but also building capability frameworks, how to do performance management, building culture, and managing the change that comes with that. Because you can have a strategy, but then you need to implement it as well, and that's about change management. And I think I'm particularly drawn to environments in growth or transition, where culture and capability become the decisive levers for impact. And my goal is to help the organizations and people to move confidently through this evolution and not just managing it, but also feeling good in driving and going through the evolution. I also mentor and coach HR professionals and business leaders, helping them find their unique posture and approach to their role, strengthen their self-awareness, their decision-making, and capacity to lead through transition and the ambiguity that comes with that. And to be honest, I think nowadays everything has changed, and I'm fascinated about change, how we are invited and requested to learn, to grow together, and find our way with it. And for example, also as an HR community nowadays, in the time of AI and the rise of skill-based organizations, I was at the Unleashed 2 weeks ago, and I think learning together, benefiting from experience others made, and co-creating the next chapter for organizations is just very exciting. I would leave it to that, and let's dive into the topic.
I think one aspect what you just mentioned is the performance management aspect. I was just hosting an event in Munich where we invited 50 CHOs and talent executives, and we had the tagline performance management. And then there were different perspectives from guest speakers, but also from the guests, because everybody had a lot of experience in implementing it, reviewing it, being part of it, whatever it was. And what was for me a big takeaway, there is no wrong and right with a topic like performance management, for instance. But overall, I think in the entire HR space, there is never really a right or wrong, because it really always depends highly on the company stage, the environment, the culture, the perspectives, whatever you want to be from a DNA perspective. And therefore, I have a couple of questions for you. But maybe we start with the vision for you when you talk about an HR business partner role, because this sometimes is really vague. Some companies have it defined very specifically, but then when you look into another company, they also have defined it very specifically, but it's different from the other company. So what is your maybe vision and definition for an business partner function?
So first of all, I think that the roles called business partner, in my vision as a part, there are other roles that are not called business partner, but they actually business partner. So for example, also in TA, but also roles and centers of excellence. They are all there to partner with the business to build solutions, programs that help the business to grow. But when we think about the HR business partner role as per the job title, I would agree there are many job titles as HR business partner, but the content is not always the same. So I've not seen a role that has a similar variety of how it engages in the organization, what's the expectation on the role, how, what persons also move into the role with what expectation on themselves, what they want to drive as an impact. But so for me, the value add of a business partner role is really being a strategic partner. So understanding the business, then assessing the organization from the understanding of the business. What capabilities are there? What do we need in the future? What skills are needed? What is the leadership model? What's the culture? And then designing and driving a people and organization strategy together with a business leader. Now, there
What
can
could
be
be the pillars of such a strategy?
So it's definitely, to me, it starts with what are the goals of the business. And it makes a difference if a business wants to grow, expand into new markets, if a business is diversifying, how do they want to grow? So organically or through acquisitions, all that defines basically the road. And then as a business partner, I start with looking at how does the organization look like? So really an assessment, what's the structure, what are the capabilities? And you mentioned performance management at the start. How performant is an organization? Is their data even available?
Do you measure that also, for instance, with certain KPIs, like if a private equity company just came into a company and then the goal is profitable growth? Do you look then also from a business partner perspective, for instance, at the rule of 40, which is like EBIT plus growth, right? It should be bigger than 40. And then you look at what are the maybe fat parts of an organization where you should maybe cut them off because they don't have any value based on that North Star? Or is it maybe something different what you look at?
Yeah, so definitely business KPIs. And if you want to streamline an organization because becoming profitable or preparing for an IPO, etc., that requires a different strategy and measures on the organization and the workforce than, for example, if you just expand and money is not a problem. So that is different, means different levers and parts of the strategy to pull. But really for me is the business partner needs to understand the business in order to do that. Plus also it's good to have some data available, like workforce demographics, performance data, etc., and reliable data in order to do this assessment. I think the business partner definitely needs to be part of the senior leadership team. It's not an addition. It's not a guest. It's a part of the leadership team. And that also comes with sharing information about the business, how are we doing, what are the plans, and gaining these insights in order to inform the work. So really being part of the senior leadership team, irrespective of the reporting line.
Would that mean, for instance, when you have, let's say, a tech organization, and then you have let's say, 3 simple business units, the tech and product unit, then general and admin, and then go to market. And then you have, let's say it's an organization of, 500 to 1,000 employees. And then you have the people function where the business partnering function is either on the top level or one part of it. And then you have the business partner in the, let's say, C-level team. But you also have different business or the business partner leader in the C-level team. And you have some business partner that covering, let's say, general admin, go-to-market, tech and product, sitting in the go-to-market senior leadership team meetings, discussing stuff. And in tech and product, the same, that they have all the context and all the also visibility. Is that what you mean by that?
Yeah. So it's not the organizational setup where the business partner is reporting to, because also there are different models and there's no right or wrong. It's really being integrated, included, getting information, being part of the discussions, sharing their view. And this is also, I think, the value is created if a business partner is also heard and the view is welcomed and considered.
Do you have maybe an example where a decision was made because of the great partnership and utilization of the business partner function in a business unit? And maybe on the other hand, also an example where a decision was made that was missing that perspective. and how different the decision making looks like in these units when the function is well defined and well set up versus not?
What comes to mind as one of the main topics, I think, is in talent placement. So whether that's hiring or succession, internal mobility, I think a business partner understands the organization, the leadership team, the culture. Let's say it's product and tech, for example. It's part of a bigger organization or the group, but it has their unique specialties. They know the history of a team, etc. And I think one of their pitfalls is when the business partner is not involved in senior leadership hiring. So testing on culture, testing on leadership as a focus, like the values, and considering how more the collaboration part would play out. So their approach to collaboration, working with others, might play out in the team based on the insights. And we also say emotional intelligence, understanding people, because I think in many hiring processes, technical skills and many communication skills are tested, but it's the business partner usually has insights into an organization and the team that can assess a candidate much better in terms of the fit to the team, coming from how they approach working together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think that's where I would always say the business partner should be involved. And the contrary is if they are not, and I've seen examples where great people with great track record, skills, experience, put in roles, and then it doesn't work because it's a system of people, and you can't underestimate it. So, and a business partner usually has.
For instance, an example would be of, let's say, promoting the best engineer or the best seller into a management role, whereas maybe the capabilities in management are not there, and also maybe also not really the motivation, but because nobody really has an overview, and just that's the traditional belief that this needs to happen, that the best IC gets promoted into a management role, that you can really destroy a team. Would that be? It's something what I think of now, top of mind when you mention it. Would that be also the case that could happen?
It's a scenario that does happen. That's right.
And
I
also,
think if someone doesn't have the motivation for a leadership role, then I would always say, no, irrespective of what's the setup, consider an expert career. They do exist, but that's what I said. If someone is technically strong and then is kind of pushed or encouraged, but there's no one who's really assessing what does it actually take, and it can be you still go ahead with this placement, but you're through the interview or the business partner being involved, surfacing aspects that can and should be considered to help the person be successful, in terms of development plan, in terms of giving support, coaching and mentoring, because in the end, everyone wants this to be a success, right? Not just the person being placed, but also the organizational leadership.
Yeah, definitely. I think another example, what is really top of mind for me, is the headcount planning aspect, or you can call it succession planning. Also, that's is one part of it, maybe. I saw a lot of organizations struggle with orchestrating the process of planning. It's not about that they are not able to deliver a plan, but I think that the process behind the planning is often broken because nobody takes the full ownership, or nobody is associated with the full ownership of the planning process. And if they have the full ownership, sometimes maybe they don't have the authority or the trust of, let's say, all the C-level or directors or VPs, whoever is involved, that they just let deadlines of the owner in the planning process determine their planning. And then everybody is doing it on their own anyway. And then you have a plan that is signed off with finance, budget signed off, that is not orchestrated, where all the people thought it's orchestrated, but it actually was not. And then later on, you need to clean up the mess with okay, what can we really now hire? Maybe some hires are already being made because it looked like, but then you saw, oh no, actually we could have not have made this hires because we did not orchestrate the plan well. What role do you see in headcount planning, or the business partner role? Where do you see it in the headcount planning prospect? And also, how is this managed well in your perspective? Because I think that's so hard to do for any organization in any size.
Yeah, it's a great topic. And I think it's not just a business partner, but the business partner has a role in it. I mean, you mentioned there's finance, there's the business strategy. You have an organization that is there with other people, right? And I think the headcount planning or planning properly is absolutely valuable. Yes. You don't need to have sophisticated processes. I think you don't need to have the best system to support it. To me, it starts with a mindset of leaders who take ownership of their organization, say, okay, I have these and these people. There are these and these capabilities and that proficiency level. Understand what is needed to deliver on the business strategy. And that's what I mentioned before. And that's where the business partner comes in to assess where are the gaps. And the gaps can be, okay, we need to build more analytical skills, or our tech stack is changing, so we need to build that. And comparing basically the current to the target picture. And out of that, what do we do? And headcount planning, to me, it's more the working with the numbers, working what is there, and then how much to add or not, because maybe there is no budget to add. So then you have, okay, what do we have? Can we develop or not? So it ties into and informs talent measures. But I think it's really the business partner works out the talent supply, the talent demand picture with the business leaders based on what do we need in terms of capabilities and what do we have and how do we bridge the gap. And this can look different in any organization. And for that, I mean, a Google spreadsheet or Excel can work too, or a Miro board. I worked at Miro, so I like that too. To illustrate, the as is and what do we need. I think it's mindset and ownership more than processes and tools. Nowadays, however, organizations or businesses change quite a bit. There's a lot of pressure. There's some unforeseen challenges in the market that you have to pivot to. So I think the reliability or the length of foresight that you have with a headcount plan, it's getting shorter and shorter.
Yes.
I think this annual headcount plan has only so much value or reliability. And it needs to, we move more into shorter cycles. So, okay, is our plan still valid? Do we need to change something? So I think shorter iteration cycles will be useful.
Yes, and I think I also see the same as you see there. Also in the past, I think companies that planned annually and were dynamic, they maybe then also just planned annually, but they iterated already during the year without doing this official update. But there may be then some, I don't know, forecast updates and so on and so forth. But what I also see now more and more is that also from a recruiting perspective, right? Because I provide recruiters and sometimes I'm sitting on the receiving end of these planning cycles, where you could say that Q4 and Q1 is usually the busiest because most of the companies start planning in Q4 already and know some urgencies that they have already. And in Q1, it's usually signed off and nothing is ready. So you need extra support, right? And this can go until the entire year, or sometimes it's just a peak. It's a bit of a mix. But what I see, for instance, especially this year, that there is no real seasonal spike, that there is more a regular spike through, or no spike, it's more irregularity because of different spikes that companies just come with new planning bottlenecks during the year. at the end of the year and in the beginning of the year. So there is no real seasonality more. This is my perception over the past 8 years. I have some data on it, that this is now really changing.
I would be interested in that data. But what you say resonates definitely. I feel that in this time, and we also, if we look geopolitical, there's so much uncertainty. And I think many leaders are not equipped or don't feel confident in navigating this uncertainty, the ambiguity that comes with it. So, and their side on how to optimize, to generate some wins, it's shorter. So to me, I would like even to use the word erratic. It's like we need this, and then the whole machine, with external recruitment agencies or internally, you move from one to the other side and then stop and go again. And it's I don't think it's healthy for an HR organization, for recruitment partners like you as well. We lost a bit there. I don't know if that we need to plan, but we need to iterate. But on that way, we should not lose our heads. And I sometimes have the impression that there's so many people that are short on breath and look for, what do I need to do now to secure this, to do that? It's there is no forward looking or no foresight perspective. And I think we need to calm down. It doesn't mean slow down. It just means calm down and always, orientate, say, where are we? What comes next? And the expectations, the challenges, for example, from the external marketers, so might come, more unforeseeable than in the past. But we should not get into this, such a hamster wheel, because that, I think, there's just the risk of us not seeing what we should see and incorporate into plans. So this erratic spirit is what I'm observing and hearing from others as well.
Yes, that's certainly true. Also in larger organizations, not just in smaller. Okay. Yeah. If you would now define the ideal business partner value add and also describing the persona as a business partner in just short bullet points, how would you define both? If you try to keep it as short as possible.
That's a challenge, short as possible. Okay, so I mentioned it already a couple of times, but the first is starting with a business. So having business acumen, understanding value chain, revenue drivers, the capabilities behind and how they are organized. So understanding the org and the talent, which capabilities drive value, how are they organized, what are the challenges with it, what's the workforce looking like, and where are the strengths in that, where are the challenges with that. Strategy as a third part, really identifying and leveraging the drivers for change and impact on the business. That comes with which talent do we need? How do we organize it? What is the culture, leadership behavior? So what are the measures in order to drive impact on the business? Influence, I think, is important. So stakeholder management, working with data, really have data savviness, because that's what business leaders talk. That's their language. Storytelling, driving change, and communicating, I think, is important for a business partner. And then collaboration, because the levers or the domains which you need as a business partner in order to drive the impact on the business are manifold. You have TA, you have COEs, then even operations, I think, can be used strategically. So collaboration is important to set up the HR programs that you need, to sync central programs with local needs. And that, again, also allow me a bit of a derail. Sometimes a business partner role is expected just to execute, implement what is centrally defined, which is not my view. So that's why I'm saying the central programs should be synced with local needs, and the business partners, ideally, are able to inform their design of the programs. And then last but not least, skills. So what skills a business partner should bring? So adaptability, because there's every day is different. So being able to flex, but also to people, because every situation is unique. Connected thinking, so connecting the dots, understanding how an apparent detail is connected to other things. And if I move this part, what is happening? Because we're working with systems. Foresighted thinking, logic and deduction. So really understanding if this is a situation, then what is the right approach? Analytical thinking and building relation. And I think this partnership element, the relation, at least to me, is super important, because you can do a business partner role technically perfect, but magic happens if you're really a partner. And for that, it takes two. So I partner best with a business leader who really sees the value of an HR perspective, invites me to challenge, to evaluate something from my perspective, from my expertise, and is rather sharing about the business and not telling. So, but I think it's important that every person in a business partner role learns about themselves, what works for them, what not, where they thrive and where not, and then go for that. Now, you can't always choose your partner because sometimes it changes. So you started in a role, then the management changes, and then you adapt, right? And you make it work. But I think the partnership element is important.
Yeah, then thank you so much for the wrap up, and have a great day.
Thank you for having me. That was fun. Thank you very much.